We talked about the Salesforce different types of application. It's the same application, but it's a different view for users for betterment of their operations is one thing. And secondly, the responsive UI, which enabled the people to access the application on their mobile devices, laptops, tablets, and any other devices as such. So that is another advantage came with the Lightning experience. Okay, Lightning experience is built on the newer technologies of UI technologies, like which are like HTML5 and all other new UI elements which been taken care during the consideration of this Lightning experience development. Also, which enabled the developers also to do the customization on the UI customizations in the easiest way, as well as they are following the standards of your user interface development. Okay. And whereas the classic application was all built on iframe, that is like a limited in terms of if you are using the same application onto your mobile, the application is completely disruptive and you can't see clearly the fields and everything. It's more of broken UI. Okay. And we also talked about the app launcher, which you can see which are all the applications which has been subscribed by the user that you can see out on the here. This is called app launcher. Yeah. And then we talked about the tabs and what all the tabs or each object is referred as a tabs, and you can build your own tabs as well. These are all standard tabs which are got it. When you create a custom object, you get it a new tab as such. And the custom apps, yes, you can build the custom apps also. You can build the custom apps and you can publish it on need basis. Okay. And we also have a glimpse view on what is a model view controller, and which is a base and foundation for your understanding on this Salesforce. Not only Salesforce, most of the applications built how it is operating at this moment for a better understanding of the application. Yes, that's a model view controller. Model refers to your database or data model. What you talk about? Anybody could have a question? Jasmine, you can go on mute.
No, sir. Okay. I don't have any questions.
Okay. So model view controller is a base framework for the Salesforce application development. It's more of like what is a database model, and post to that you have a business logic, which is controller called business logic or controllers. You have it, and user interface. User will be interacting the user interface, which are like a page layouts, application, and everything. That internally it calls the database, and there is a business logic. It also calls the business logic to process the data while inserting or updating the data into the database. The same way, it also fetches the data from the database and presents it back to the user. Okay. This is a MVC. Any questions till now, guys, before we jump on many things? And predominantly the model view controller, which is like database, business logic, and user interface. And Salesforce has its, this is anatomy, what we call it MVC. And we have a declarative tools as well as the programming tool. Declarative tools are more of what you call it like a drag and drop, point and click, all this stuff come under picture, which you can create without, writing even a single line of code. Okay, which are like, if you see, we have a standard object, system object. We are going to detail out what is this objects and what are the called workflows, automation rules. What we talked about automations and all this stuff that come here in picture of controller. Okay, controller and Apex classes, and this is where we talk about a lot on this. And lastly, view. What we are able to see in this, it's called, what you are seeing the application called, it's called Lightning pages and Lightning components. And earlier it was like a classic application. Yesterday Satya has given a brief, right? What is a classic application? That's a classic application. You will have a visual force pages. Now it's called Lightning pages. Okay. And page layouts. Page layouts are nothing but how you want this display of the components or pages within that layouts, and which fields need to be shown, where to show, whether it's a left or right, or what sort of a page layout should be shown, all of this stuff. Okay. Okay. And now jump into the real activities, what we are going to do it from today onwards. We talked about a lot till now. The main important anatomy of the software is database, right? We call it model. In the model we talked about, we have a objects out there. Objects in terms of, if you talk about any other guys, when you're logging into this Zoom, there is an option that you can mute yourself and log into the session, so that it will not disturb other people. There is almost 20 people are joining. It's a kind request for everyone. Okay. So let's talk about the database, which is like, usually if you take it any on-premise application or any custom built it like a Java application, any other application, you have a database, which is also called as a model. In model, we'll usually have a tables, fields, and you have relations like your links and joins and so on. Okay, here we call it as objects and relations. Here rather tables, it's called objects. Okay, so you don't need to confuse yourself, or you can make yourself more comfortable with objects, word called objects. Okay, there is no table concept here, because this is a SaaS application which is built on the tables. So there should not be any confusion between objects and tables. That is where tables will be there, which is on the database, which is completely wrappers have been built such a way that you are going to get an environment or a tool where it's already wrapped, and you get it objects where you play around. It's more of like you don't need to write even a single line of code when you're creating the table or updating the table. Here you just drag drop and complete your activities called objects. Okay, here there are two, in fact there are three different types of objects or in Salesforce. Okay, one is called standard objects, okay, which you are able to see it like whenever you subscribe for Salesforce application, you are able to see accounts, opportunities, leads, contacts, campaigns, and all this stuff are standard objects, which come along with the licensing what you have procured. Sorry, what you have procured. Yes, what you have procured. So these are all the standard objects. Okay. And there are custom objects. Okay, standard objects, you may think that all the objects will survive your suffice your requirements. No, there are most of the possibilities that you may require to create your own objects. Okay, we'll talk about a bit of it. What is a custom object a bit later. Okay, when you create custom objects, okay, how you distinguish what is a standard object, what is custom objects. Okay, and okay, object and record relation. I just want to give you a brief. Sorry, anybody have a question? Ashok?
Sorry, no, I don't have any.
Some of you guys, at least, if you are able to hear any noise, without their consent, please mute them if that doesn't talk. Okay. Okay, object and record. It is only for the people who doesn't understand what is a database and table and record. That is where I just put a presentation saying that one object can have multiple records. Consider there is a contact object. We have a record like, okay, Shekhar is one record Pratyusha, one record called Sunita, and one more record. It's like a record means we are all aware, right? One particular record for a table means you have a table and you have a columns. You create a record which is a suffice on your fields information as such. Okay, and external objects. Okay, external object also, there is an object called external object in a Salesforce, which is a reference to the table or some other interface, which data is stored in external application as such. Means like, okay, if you have a SAP application is, it's a SAP application is there, and SAP has its own tables, fields, records, and so on, right? If you want to represent that table, some specific table, consider payments information. The payments information is stored in SAP application. You want to present it into your Salesforce application, but you don't want to store that information into Salesforce. There is a mechanism being given in Salesforce such a way that you can just refer to the table of SAP by connecting their interface. Okay, that's called external objects. We cover external objects in detail in integration sessions. Okay, for now, let's concentrate on this standard objects and custom objects. Okay, now let's talk about these custom objects. We talk about this, right? Where we can see how you can modify, how you can create a new custom objects, and there is a fields also, right? There is a standard objects. We have custom objects, and it has a standard fields as well as custom fields. Let's talk about that into the application. Now you might have seen this application when you subscribe, right? Okay, you can click on the setup, go to the setup. See, this application for users. This application for users who are using the application, which are like a customers or employees of the company. But we are all developers, right? We need to have a tools where you can configure or customize, develop. The things are called, you click on the setup. The setup only shown for the developers team. Admins and developers only get this access. Okay. So when you click on this, let me go here. When you click on this setup, it opens up and will be navigated to this view. It's a setup view. Okay. And let's see how you have. Yesterday I have shown you some like I have removed one column as such, saying that I don't want one field on the page layout. I want to say that, okay, let's take it object manager. Object manager is, you have all objects are specified, right? All these objects are created by Salesforce, which are like a standard objects. We have not created any single object also here. These are all the objects which is being given by Salesforce. When you procure a license, when you pay for license and subscribe for it, you get the objects, which are standard objects. Okay, let's take one object called account. And objects will have a fields, right? Okay. This again, standard fields are available already. Okay, you don't need to worry about how this is a fields on being built, and moreover, you should not change any data type of the data type of any of the fields, because the reason is, if you change this data type here, I don't think so you are allowed to do that firstly. Okay. Okay, you are not allowed to do the data type change. Okay, and moreover, we would not recommend you to alter any of the Salesforce provided fields as such, because the reason is Salesforce upgrades on its own, right? Upgrades 3 releases. Salesforce releases. Salesforce have a 3 releases, which are like a spring, winter, and summer. Spring, winter, summer. Yes, there are 3 releases by Salesforce. During that period, they will be updating the standard objects and standard fields. So if you change your stuff, and if it is in production, and if Salesforce come up with an upgrade, then whatever you have done the changes, which will override and which will disrupt the user's operations. So always recommended and best practices not to do alter to any of the existing Salesforce provided fields. If you require to do create a new fields, you can create a new fields here, saying that, okay, these are the custom, these are the standard fields, create a new fields, and don't delete the existing fields also. Okay, like when you're creating the field, we understand what is a field, right? Fields are, you see here, everything is a field. Phone is a field, fax is a field, website is a field, and so on. Everything is a field here. Everything together an object. Okay, and let's create one. Like I just don't want to create a fields now here, at least. Okay, if you, for testing purpose, we can do that. Okay, you can create a new field, saying that date field. We have a fields of different types of fields we have available here. Okay, whether it's auto number field or whether it's a formula field. Formula field we'll talk about when we are talking about the formulas and roll-up summaries, and the fields like relations also we talk a bit later. And the different types of fields you have it, like a checkbox field, currency, date, date time, emails, and number, percent, so on. You have it. You create the field on a need basis, means you don't just create it. It's more of like a customer requirement. Customer says that I want to have a new set of fields, of I want to have a phone number 4, 5, 6. I want to capture it, or I want to have a pick list. Pick list is more of like drop downs. Let me see here. Yeah, you have a drop downs here, right? Which is nothing but your pick list. Okay, you have multi-select pick list also available, and you have a number fields. Okay, different types of fields you can create it. Let's say simple. We'll create one text field, saying that custom field. Just name is a custom field. I'm just creating. And whenever you create a field, okay, what is the length it is look for? It look for, okay, if it is based on the type of field, it it look for the precision. If it is a number field, obviously it is a decimal and a number on integer fields. You'll have a precision as well as the size of fields. So we have a 255 characters usually we give it. And we also recommend on the Salesforce front, give the description of what is meant for this field. And help text is more of like pour over message on the field information. Okay, and when you are creating the field, it also asks you whether it is a required field or whether it is a unique required field. We know, right? If you make it required, whenever you create a record, it asks for this. This information should be populated onto the object. When you are creating the record, you must need to populate the information for this field if you make it required. Okay, and if it is a unique field, means same account you are not allowed to create record. You can make it unique, so that the user cannot create another record with the same name. Let's make it one unique. Case insensitive or case sensitive also it is looked for. Okay, and we'll talk about the external ID a bit later when you are building the integration services. Okay, so the next step, whether you want to add it to the custom report types. Reports, we have it, right? Reports, we want to add it or not. Okay, we talk about the security. Okay, where this custom fields should be displayed. Okay, it is a profiles, and we'll talk about the security. When we are talking about the security, you'll get to know more information on this. Means predominantly it says that you have a different types of users, right? Okay, when we talk about the sales application, we have a sales reps, we have sales managers, we have a sales admins, and we have a regional sales managers. Everybody will have a different view. So differently they can able to see, and different set of fields they should be able to see, right? Okay, that time you build the different security mechanism comes in picture, which Satya yesterday told that we'll cover it during the security. And during that period, we'll talk about that. Just ignore for now and move on. And which page layouts should be shown, that also talk about. Okay, which you want, like whether you want to show it on the sales steps page, whether you want to show it onto the manager's view or admin's view. Okay, and select it based on the requirement as such. Just close this. Okay, now go back. When you create a new field, it will go and it will display here. Just refresh. Sorry. When you have done this, let's go to the page layouts, click on account layout. You have created a field and you need to map it, that field, right? So let's go here, and your custom field is here. Let's map it a little up for a custom account name and save. This is how usually you do the simple changes on your page layouts. You created a field on the need basis. When you create a field, okay, you have a search. You can search here, custom field, go here, and you can see now, okay, there are custom fields always have the field name suffixed by __C. Standard fields will not have that underscore. This is more to distinguish whether it's a custom field or whether it is a standard field. Okay, and it whatever the data type you selected, it will be shown here. Okay, any questions, guys, here? Okay, once you create a custom field or custom objects, custom fields, let's talk about custom fields, and you can go to the page layouts and the respective page layout. How you'll get to know the page layout is like, go here, you can select the page layout, you can select the page and which page it is referring to. You can click on this. If you are admin only, you will get to know. Okay, this is a lightning app builder. You don't need to worry about this comment. Let's not talk about this here. You will get confused now. Okay, this is a standard account page layout, and let's go to the account layout, and which we have mapped it just now, right? The custom field, which we have saved here, and save. Go back here. So it is saved. Let's go here, and you can see that custom field here. And write save it, and we have created this field as a unique, right? Let's try to create one more account with the same value. Let's see how it goes. Any of the gentleman's name? Okay, I'll try to save the same record. Now it should throw error message because we have said that it's a unique field. Duplicate value found, custom field, duplicate values on this record. It will not allow you. These are all the validations also. So you don't need to write any single line of code, that you can do it. Most of these operations, that is where your low code, no code concept comes in picture. Okay. There are plenty of validation. It's a simple validation I shown for you. Okay, and I'll put it 1. Save. It saves the record. Okay. And custom objects also we talked about, right? Okay, you have objects now, account object. We will show you one custom object as well, and then we'll jump on to the other areas. Object managers. And see, there is a 2 ways of doing this stuff for you. One is object manager level. You can here do it, or you can go to the schema, what do you call it? Schema builder. You can see the objects also here. If you wish to create, you can build these objects also here. It's already shown here. Let's talk about this. This is another presentation which you can able to see for an object. This is a predominantly you will use for schema browser, schema builder, for finding out the relations between the objects. I'll talk about the relations a bit later on it, today's session only. So you see that which are all the fields or map for this object, font object, and you can see that red marks are which are required fields. Okay, whenever you create an object, there is a set of fields automatically will be created. We talk about the custom object when you're creating. Every object will have a set of required fields. Some of the times you may manually populate the values, or some of the times automatically Salesforce itself takes it. Like if you take an example like a created by, we know that who is actually this record is creating, right? When you log into the application itself, you know that who is the user. Okay, that user information automatically populate onto the record. And when it is created or when it is modified all this information automatically stored onto the Salesforce. And who is the owner of that record? Okay, so in fact, you're only given information about custom field, which is we made it as a required field. That is where it asks you information. Otherwise, it will not even ask you any information, because that if you look into this, only the name is required field, right? So these are one of the presentation on your schema builder aspects as well. Okay, let's go here. Let's predominantly now, most of the times you may not go to the schema builder. You usually use object manager, and you will be creating the objects, or you can create the fields and everything, the relations and everything can build here. Let's go and create a custom objects. And you can build the custom objects using the spreadsheets also, but you don't need to worry about that now. Create the custom objects. And consider we would like to have a custom object called some custom object, like I don't remember what is the name at this moment.
Let's call it as a review.
Okay, simple. Okay, review. Let's talk about the reviews and plural label. Okay, we talk about the records, right? So reviews are the plural name, which usually put it here. And what is the object name? Is like this is a label what you are going to show it, and what is the object name which we are storing into the Salesforce. And always as I conveyed you, that it's a mandatory when you are in the live systems, saying that what is the what is the need, why you created this object as such. You give a information, say as per the requirement of reviews module, this object been created on 21st January 2022. Or if there is any user stories are more of requirements, numbers, something like that. Okay, that is where we say that user story. We usually give that information. And what is the record name? Means like what is the field which you want to have it when you are creating this object. The object should have at least one required field, right? Whenever you create a record, you should have one required field, right? That is where it says that what is the field name should be mapped. Whether you want it a text field or you want auto number. If you are auto number, you don't need to create any fields. Automatically, it will populate the value and keep creating the records. Let's take it one example like a text. And you want this object to be available on the reports. You select the reports, and you want the activities. Means like under one object, you can see the activities, right? You might have seen here activities. These are all come under activity. You want to log a call, or you want to create a record, or you want to event, new task. Under that, you can select this activities. And you want to have a track of this field history. Means saying that you have objects, you have fields, and you have records, right? Whenever someone changes of any values, you want to track those information, that also you can enable here. Okay. And there is a charter groups. We talked about collaboration tools, right? The collaboration, it's called charter. You want to enable that, you want to enable it, it's all you can do that. Okay. So there are plenty of things on the security mechanism, whether you want to have this sharing rules applicable at security mechanism. When we are talking, then we will get to know more on this. And when you want bulk API, also we'll talk about in integration. Means like when you are having a bulk data load into Salesforce, or bulk export of data from the Salesforce, that you will use this. Okay. Usually better to recommend to enable this, don't disable this as such. Okay. And when you are in a production environment, it's in development phase. Okay, when it is like deployed is for our sandbox is like developer environment, you put deployed directly, it will be available for the users. Okay, and you want to be allow this into the your search. When you have this a search, this is called search, right? When you want to allow this on your search, then you can do that. And there is a notes and attachments. If you go here, also you have you go here, notes and attachments. you want to enable this object under this accounts, will enable it, or otherwise you'll disable it. These are all the things you can select it. Let's enable this notes and attachments and save. Any questions, guys, here? Satya, you want to add any couple of points here?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So this is the object. So it is object, as a Srijay mentioning, right? This is the table. This is to store your data. Review is a table, right? Think about it, a table, okay? Object. And this object, there are settings. All these settings are filled, right? And there is a deploy and develop. Can you just come down, Srijay? So that deploy and develop, right? So whenever deployed option is checked, so this is a development, right? This is happening across the cloud, and multiple users or multiple developers will be there, right? If you want to see this object by other developers, you can just click on the deployed so that other developers or others can see. If it is in the development, when you are progressing, that means that is in progress, work in progress, right? So when it is in progress, so this object will not be seen by others. Okay, so that is an option. And these options are, some of the options are mandatory and some of the options are optional. So wherever it is a mandatory, just make sure all these mandatory settings are filled. Then data, right? This object or this table or this object is available for creation of your transactional data. Okay, and there are plenty of things which I think you are going to learn as we progress, but this is how the object is. And CJ, can you just go ahead and save this and create custom fields? Okay, so now object is created and every object will have a custom name __c. That's how the API name. So the importance of the API name, right? So you will get to know, but API names are internal purpose. So these names will not be seen or will not be shown for the end customers or end users. Okay, so this review __c is only for the system perspective for the developers, not for the end users. Okay, and go to field. So we need a columns, right? Once a object is created, we have to define a fields. Fields are nothing but columns, but we don't call them as a columns in Salesforce. Terminology is fields. Click new fields, click new.
Satya, I want to give a brief on this standard
Yes.
fields which are created.
Okay. So whenever any custom object is created, there are system fields which will be created by Salesforce automatically to you. So there are system fields. So created by means, suppose when record is created, right? And everybody wanted to have a audit in the sense everybody wanted to know when this record is created, if it is created, when by whom this record is created, and if it is a modified, who modified, right? Last modified by. And owner, every record in the Salesforce will have an owner, right? That is what we discussed in the first. So without owner, record will not be existing. Means somebody has to create it, right? Somebody has to own that record. So that means that record is the valid record, purposefully created and storing it in the database. If any of the record is created without owner, that means that is an orphan record, right? So cloud will not allow to store any of the orphan record. So that is why every record has to be owned by someone. So that means that someone has either created or shared with some purpose. That means cloud can understand, okay, this is having some purpose. So owner is needed. Without owner, will not exist. So owner automatically will be created for you by Salesforce, by Salesforce. And the name is the field. So name for every custom object. So there is a field called name. Okay, so name also will be created. Means some name, right? Some name should be there at least, right? So that name will be created by the Salesforce. So these are the 4 fields which are created by Salesforce when you define any custom object, right? Any custom object. So these are called system fields. So whenever you create any object, all these 4 mandatory fields created. And data type, if you look at it, created by Heidi will come from the user, but a relationship lookups, master detail, and all that you will get to know. Just do not worry about the data types lookup for now, but look, the data types will see. But this is how the data types, and the name is the right name is the field that data type. Either it is a string or it is a auto generated number. Auto generated number means, so it will be the unique. It is an indexed field. It should be the unique, right? And you can just give your name like alphanumeric string, or you can just increment, or you can just add that as an auto number, so that end user does not have to enter any of the data in the name field. So systematically you can populate, or you can just fill this field, or you can also give an option to the end user to fill the name. But name is a mandatory. Without name, they cannot proceed. So since name is a mandatory, you have options. Either you generate auto number, or you can let user or end user to fill it. Okay, so these are the 4 fields which are created by the Salesforce. Any custom object inside the Salesforce, if you create it, so these are the fields which are standard by created by Salesforce. Okay, and you can create your own custom fields. Suppose review, right? Review wanted, right? Review need to have couple of fields. Means you need to display this fields information. Like Srijay, just can you take one example of the field?
Yep, review type, whether it is a review like more of like interview review, like you have interviews or there, right? Interview, nothing but a review. Or you have some article being published on the paper, you will have a review, right? Or if you have submitted a document, you'll have a review. Means review will have a comments, review will have a status, whether it's a approve review or a rejection, or if there is any what type of review you are doing it, whether it's a blog review, or it's a document review, or whether it's a movies also, you'll have a review, right? By the way, the everybody knows that movies reviews as such. Okay, so what type of review it is? Let's take one example like a list field, Satya.
No, let's take string field, just a simple. Next we will go to the pick list.
Yeah. So,
see, text is a string. String in the sense you can enter any kind of data, right? Any alphanumeric characters. Alphanumeric characters, what we mean is you can enter either numbers or you can enter characters. So that is called a text, right? Text is a string basically. We just call it in the programmatic language, text is a string, but here it is a text data type. So the data type, right? Yesterday, somebody was asking about the data types. So this is how the data types of the fields will be selected. So whenever you create any field for the object, so these are the data types. So automatically wizard will prompt up, right? Wizard will prompt. So you have to complete the wizard, then that particular field will be created. Right? So first creation of the field, you have provided the name, and now second step, second page, right? It will take you to the define a data type, data type. So data type, you just select based on your requirement. Either it is a text or number or auto number or phone field or you know, right? Phone field, the difference between the phone and the text field. When you select the phone field, automatically format of the phone will be applied after entering the numbers. Okay, and you can select email field, and email will have a format, right? Test@gmail.com. So it should have @ is a middle, right? And then it should have a .com or dot, right? So that is a format. So if any of the string or if any of the text is entered is not following email format, it will complain. Means it will have its own validation, right? So that is the email field. If you want to have a date time, currency, check boxes, you can select all these radio options. These are radio options. You just select one of the option. Currently text is selected. We can just proceed next. So this is the wizard, guys. Okay. In the next, right? Field label. What field we need? Yes, comments is the one field that we need. So length, right? Length for always text field length will be the 255 maximum, but you can still define your own length less than 255. Okay, come down. So length we have defined, field data type we have defined, right? That is a text.
Some number.
Yeah.
See, I'm just telling you, this is the best practices you need to follow while creating the fields also. Okay. But not required field as such, but I'm making you more well versed with the industry standards. Yep. Yes, Satya.
Yes. So now, help text. What is the help text? We are going to see that help text. Write some keyword. So comments to be entered.
Okay.
Just help text, just to display end user why this particular field is needed or what user can enter into the comments. Okay.
This more of look like this, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you hover over on this, then you get this message.
Okay. And whether this field is required, non-required, you can just make it. But now you can just leave them as optional. But you have all these options. And if you want to provide any default, means without entering user, okay, first when you click on the new button, some default value to be populated, you can just put that, right? Sample comments. Click the next.
Just put the sample comments. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. There are error message. No, come down. See, syntax error comments. Put it in the quotes, single quote. Salesforce, inside Salesforce, it will allow single quotes.
Yep.
Yeah. So once field created, data type assigned, right? And once we fill all of the required information, then what will happen is whether you want to give this field to all profiles. Okay, so that we talk about what is a profile, right? Let's go with the default option. Click next. Save.
So here automatically there is a page layout being created. When you create object, automatically there is a page layout also created, right, Satya?
Yes, that means why it is giving this page. So the field that you have created, you want to add to this page layout or not. Okay, if you don't want to add that field to the page layout, you can uncheck that option. Okay, currently we have to add this into the page layout, object page layout. That is why we are leaving this option as it is, default option. Okay, that means this field gets added into that page layout. Click the same.
Okay. What is page layout? Probably we have created object, we have created a field here, but we did not create a page layout. You guys should have come up with this question. If you go to the page layouts, there is a page layout also created. When you create a custom object, automatically there is a page layout also will be created, and all the fields will be mapped to that page layout. So you don't need to manually go and create a page layout. You don't need to manually create one tab for it. Automatically it will be created.
This is the container, guys. See, once object is there, right? It should have a container for the user, end user. There they can enter the data, right? That is called page layout. That page layout gets created automatically when you define a object. When you define an object. So mapping of the fields into the page layout is optional. What fields, required fields needs to be there. Minimum required fields needs to be there on the page layout. Why we need a required fields onto the page layout? Because you are defining field as a required without entering that required information. System should not allow, right, to save it. But if you define it, if you do not expose it to the end user, where they can enter the required information, without the required information, system will complain. Without required, you cannot save this data. That is why, in order to, just mitigate this ambiguity, right? Salesforce will not allow any of the required fields to be taken out from the page layout. Okay, mandatory fields. Now, click save.
No, I just want to tell. Okay, you can drag, drop. You can align these fields. It's more of click and drag and drop. Okay, there is nothing that you need to write. Okay, this is a line you have to follow and all this stuff. And you can also, whether you want to display this section or not, you just make it like this. Okay, if you remove it, you can remove it. And if you want 2 column section or 1 column section, you can select it here. There are plenty of things you can do in a simple way. Or you want left or right, all this stuff, you can do that. You have only one column section here. Okay, and related list we'll talk about bit later. Okay, and okay, related list, you want to give a little word here, Satya? When we create object, we have selected activities and everything.
When the page layout is there, right, we have seen in the lightning experience what are related in the sense, is set of information to be available in one place, right? Account can have cases, account review can have a interview candidates, right? And job information, job applications, right? All of that. So you can just link, and you can just make them as a related list, so that in the one place you can see all of the related list information in single page. You don't have to navigate back and forth. That is called a related list, but that is optional whether you want to add it or not. There are several options here. If you want to go to the button, you can create a new button, mobile lightning, expanded lookups, all that you will get to know as we move.
Okay.
Babu. Risha. Okay. రేపు బ్యాంక్ బంద్ అండి.
Okay. So the page layout also created, the fields also created, and if you want to create a couple of buttons, you can create the buttons here. And what is the action to be created, that you can do it. We'll talk about the buttons and everything tomorrow session. And okay, let's go back and see that object. We click here. What is the object we created? Review.
So it will not be available. You just create a tab.
Yeah.
In order
map it to,
yeah, so see, now we have created object, fields, layout, right? And we have to give that object that option to the end user. End user is whatever website you are seeing, right? The website, the front end that you are seeing, this end user can access, right? In order to give that, right, to the end user, then you have to define, next option is a tab. Go to the setup. Yeah, here in the home tab, right, select the tab, click the tab.
Tab.
No, click the tab. So now it is since it is a custom object, you have to define your custom object tab, right? Standard already it is having, right? Object you have to select, means on which object you are going to create your tab. And if you want to add any style, adding color, icons, right? All of that you can select. You can also have your own custom icon.
Okay, let me select something else.
So these are all standard, and create your own style also there. Okay. These are all options. Yeah. Next. Next, leave it default.
It is more of way to display and for which application to display, for whom to display.
There are
Way to display.
apps. Yeah, there are apps, right? Provided by Salesforce. You can select which app you want to display, right? Let's leave it default. And as we go forward, when we create a custom app, we can include all these only in the custom app. But currently, we leave it in the default. Yeah.
More of saying that if you want to enable this tab, whatever the custom object you created, only for sales, but not for service, you can do one thing. You can select the sales and leave it for service. Okay. For now, let's go ahead and do small test. We'll do that enabling everything. Okay. Save. It's all done.
So tab is created, right? Tab also is created, access is granted, and go to app launcher.
Refresh here. Just refresh works.
So reviews.
There is a new tab being created here and able to see. Let's click reviews. Let us know if we are a little faster or if you are not able to follow up as such. So this is the finally you landed creating a custom object, custom field, custom tab, a page layout automatically created. You were able to map it. This is a list of views. This is called list view, which talk about, right? Whatever the new records we created or whatever the records are there, you can see it here. If you recently viewed, you can see. If you want to see all the records, you can see. But there is no records created. So far, we just created object.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
This can be viewed by the end user, right? No?
Yes.
All done. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the basic thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a basic one field.
So how can is there any restrictions to restrict some of the users can see, some of the
that is
users
there.
no?
That is there. So that will talk about it. Just we are in the basic, that is little advanced, right? When we talk about the profiles and permissions, right? And that will define it. But this is just a basic. What we wanted to understand is just a tab, just object, just a fields. Profiles and permissions is a security topic that we'll discuss later.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Then you will get to know. Yeah. So this is the review name, right? Review name we have left user to fill in. It is a mandatory field. This is the system field. You have to enter the name. Okay. Comments. In the comments, there is a small, round icon. Have you seen that? That is a help text that will be helpful for the end user. So whatever text you enter there, it will appear here. Means the importance of the field, the importance of the comments field you can mention for the end user based on the requirement. If requirement says don't expose or don't have to display any L, then you don't write anything there. Okay, automatically icon also will not appear. When you have any data there, then icon will appear. That icon will display some help. Okay, what is the significance of this field? Then end user can decide whether to fill it or not. But wherever it is required, right? Required in the sense asterisk. Whenever asterisk is there, that is a required field. User has to fill in. Otherwise, the data will not be allowed to save. Right? So you can just enter the review name, first review. Now comment is a default value that we left, but still you can modify that. You can change it. Just remove that. Yep. And now enter your, this is a test comment. Test comment. Okay. See, owner. We were talking about the owner. Owner automatically gets filled in. Right? AB training, that is a first name and last name. That's how the owner is. And this owner, right, is a read only. That means this user or Srijay is a creating. Srijay user is AB training Jan 22. Right? That's the owner. Click save. Now, if you go here, this is the page layout we have defined, right? Review name, comments, owner, created by, last modified by. These are the system fields. Owner also system fields. That displays, without which that will not exist. Okay. Now
you did not added anything. Automatically system has captured the information. Who created and when it is updated and so on.
Yes.
You want to give a brief on this related?
No, go to the details. Go to the details. See, these are created by, last modified by, are called audit fields, right? So user can, means, anybody else can understand when this record is created. You cannot modify this created by. You cannot modify this last modified by. Okay. So means this record, right? This is for the audit purpose. When this record is created, when this record is modified. Okay, so that is the significance of having these fields. Now related, right? Related list, right? Related in the sense, suppose if you add and if you want any other object, right? Like accounts, you can also just mention as accounts related list. Currently notes and attachment. So that is the default. We have selected that option, notes and attachments as a related list added. Here it is just related list in the sense you have uploaded the file, right? This uploaded file is a tag to the review. So review, you have information and you have a document attached also, right? You can add a number of documents, right? All those attachments in the one place. See, now you have a details and a related. If you want, if you need anything else like accounts and opportunities, you can still add more related list in the page layout.
This is one related object and activity which we have, if you have seen that when we created a custom object, we have selected, okay, notes and attachments you want to include as a related list, and activity also we have selected, right? That is where this option came in. If you don't select these options when creating the custom object, you don't get this related objects mapped to the parent object. Parent object is nothing but a review object, and a review object, these are all related objects, related or called like a child objects basically. Okay, right, Satya?
Yes. So here there are some buttons also created. See, new contact, edit, new opportunities. That they're all standard buttons, standard quick actions we call it. In a Lightning there are no buttons. In Lightning world we call them as a actions. New contact, edit, new opportunities are actions. So they're all automatically created. If you don't want, you can still hide them, but this is how the normal thing. And there is a print option. You can just take the print also. You can just clone it. You can change the owner, but change the owner, but you cannot delete the owner. Okay. And So
I
currently
don't
I
have
think
any.
only one user, since it is a developer arc, right? So we can create one more user. So when you create more and more users, it will consume Salesforce license, right? So since it is a developer arc, so you are just given only 1 or 2 licenses, not more than that. If they give us more licenses, then Salesforce company has to shut down, right, their business. So they will give only 1 or 2 license for the trial purpose, for the sake of development purpose. But whereas if you purchase the product from the Salesforce, and then you will be given set of, like, how many users you want, based on which they will charge, they will give the users license. Here only one user, one more user will be there, but we'll have to keep for one more user to be created. But currently it is having only one user. Now you can just send a notification email option also there. And whenever you change the owner, right, suppose X is working and you want to assign it to Y, you can change Y user, and there is an option called send email notification immediately. If you check the checkbox, and that Y owner gets notified immediately, yes, this from this X it has been modified to Y. So it will send a notification email, click submit, that's it.
Already he's a owner, so you don't need to worry. You can just
Yes.
cancel it.
Yeah. That's how the significance is. This is how all the end users, and which we don't have to worry, but all we have to look into is into the development. So the development backend, whatever we have done is the development. Okay. So that is, see, all this page we built without any code. So that is why Salesforce is called low code, no code, right? That is one. And Salesforce also supports, having code customization, but that is a customization part. But most of the things in your business, or most of the things in your real time, can be controlled by the configuration. Just code, just a click, and just configure it and make your system available. That is the concept. So use maximum not to write any of the code. System already built it, right? Use whatever is available, standard. If not, then go for the customization. Then you have to write so much of code and all of that, but we'll just get into there. But understand it. So without code, you can also build a application. You can also build a application. So tab we have created. Currently sales is an app. You can also create your own app. You can also create your own app. How will we create our own app? Yes, go to app manager. See, there are 2 apps, right? Connected app, that we can talk about it when we get into the integration. You can create a new lightning app. Yes, you just create recruitment app. See, this is the app name, right? If you want to add any image, you can add image. You have any image, Srijay? If you have it, you can add your photo or picture or whatever.
I seriously doubt on it, but let me try.
Yes, see, Lakshmi Narasimha Swami.
No. Let
Add
it
it.
be.
What is that?
No, I don't. I want to respect the. If there are the other religious people are there, let's put it a world map.
Map, yeah. And you can have your own brand. This is the brand, guys. Color, right? You can add the color. Different red, just red. Yes, you can change the color. Huh. And org theme options. Click that. Yes. Use apps image color. No. Uncheck. Theme options. Apps image color instead of the org customs theme. Okay.
Happy
Take
image.
that. Yeah. So give the description is optional anyway. So there is a help text why it is needed. This is your own app, custom app, right? And you can preview before clicking the next preview option.
Look like this.
Yeah. Now you go here, and the navigation style. How you want to navigate? Navigate it as a horizontal or console navigation, right? You can still give it, but supported form factors. Form factors are your phone, desktop or phone. Okay, we'll just leave the desktop and phone. These are form factors.
Which is more of like what we talked about just before, the classic versus lightning. If it is a classic application, it was only for the desktops. Now the phone and the desktop, it automatically change the UI. When you see this same application, it looks like this, right? When you see this in a tablet or a mobile, it looks different. You don't need to do any changes, but automatically the application itself, the UI is more of responsive UI. It's called responsive UI. Based on the mobile, it responds. Based on the desktop, it changes the UI. But if you see any manual, like if you are building an Android app, anything, you have to be a little carefully write it, right? Okay, that's all about.
Click next. See, utility item. There is a utility item. So what all tabs you wanted, you have to add using add utility item. We just add only the review, just a type review.
It's not a utility item, is more of like how you want a history, list of views or anything. It's not objects.
Right.
Currently, we will not select anything. Let's move on. Here, you have a review. We'll select this review and move. And let's have a contacts also. So check contact. Select here. Selected two objects and to whom we need to display. We'll say, okay, currently it is a system administrator for us. Whenever you create a new user, like not everywhere, it's a developer org, right? We have it, developer edition. So it's a system administrator is our user, or you can select all the users and move. You can select all the users, push. You can select all with the shift button. Okay. We'll talk about the profiles. Don't worry that we are not skipping. It is very, very important aspect to talk about the profiles.
That is a security. Yeah.
Security. What we talked about security. If we get into these profiles, then you actually derive what you are learning it. So we want to be very carefully moving your learning aspects as such. Okay.
See now
we created.
Yeah.
This app been created.
Yes. And go to the app launcher now. App launcher, that boxes.
I just refresh once.
Yeah. There you can select your app. Review app.
Recruitment app.
Recruitment app, sorry.
So you can see that it's a more of picture also changed.
See now color also changed, right?
The logo is already
logo is added, and the border color also, whatever color that you have selected.
Sales, we have a blue color, right? Here we have a little different color. Yeah. And you are able to see that recently viewed. When we created a new object, it doesn't have it, but we have able to see it, right? If you have more accounts, you can see it here. And we selected contacts as well as part of this app. Okay.
So this is the app, and this is the custom object, right? And the more you are going to see more objects and establishing the relationship between the object, right? And looking at the data model, schema, ER diagrams, and all of that you are going to learn, but all we build using a recruitment application.
Okay.
So we are in this class. Yep. Go ahead.
Only 1 minute. Sorry to interrupt you. Before we jump onto the recruitment app, what is going to be our real life scenario where we are going to take it forward of every configuration, customization, coding, lighting, everything. We'll take it one use real life case and move forward. Before we jump onto that, we just would like to give you a glimpse on this schema builder. Okay, we talked about object manager, right? Where you can able to create and all this stuff. Here also you can see and create objects also. Like see, you have a standard objects. Let's talk about the custom objects which we created. Why it's not doing show all objects? Standard objects,
Custom objects.
custom objects. Why it doesn't show? Okay, let me refresh. Probably.
Just to type your review whether it is.
Yeah. It is. Need to refresh. Okay. Select this review and see this review. And if you have relations between these objects, let me solve one. Let's clear out everything and let's have a custom objects. I want to see this and I want to know if there is any relation with this. Currently it is a standalone. There is nothing, no relations. Okay. Standard objects, select review, and you can see that contact objects also here mapped. You can, if we have built a relation between these two objects, then it comes to like that. Consider owner is an object is there, and if you create a new field that you can map it to contact object, you can see that relations. I think relations we talk about tomorrow, I believe, right, Satya?
Yes. Select the user. Select the user.
Yeah, best option.
You just remove the contact. See now your review, right? Review as the owner. Owner is who? User only. So it has a relationship. So relationship already established. So this is how ER diagram called. Means this is what is a ER diagram, entity relationship
relation.
diagram. Yeah.
Is
So
a
now you
created
have
by
a user. So created by, last modified by, but this is only for the developer perspective, not for the end user. This schema builder, you can just use, view the relationship between the objects that you created, right? This is how the relationship will be shown by the colors, by the look and feel, and this is the pictorial, right? Pictorial format, graphical representation in which you can see all the relationship, and this is a diagram, right? You can build the application, and as an architect, if you want to have this representation in the document, you just build the data model and come to the schema builder, and you just see this and copy this and paste into your document and get it approved if that object model is viable from the client, right? So this is how we can see the relationship. But going forward, more and more, when you build recruitment application, more and more object needs to be added, more and more relationships to be created, and all that when you go on creating entity relationship gets added, right? You will see a lot of changes there. Srijay?
I made a you host. You can talk on that recruitment app.
No, that is fine. I think we'll just call it. We'll talk tomorrow. It is already 17 minutes over. 9:17 now. So I have another stop in 5-10 minutes.
Okay, let me take this session for any queries. Satya, you are a host now. When you are leaving, don't leave for everyone. If you need
Just
to.
let me make you host.
Okay.
Because it will disconnect automatic.
Yep. We would be happy to answer any queries you have it on the objects, fields, page layouts, tabs, and apps.
I have a
That's how-
doubt.
Yes, please. Yes,
Can
please.
we customize the validation labels?
Yes.
Validation.
Which
Like,
validation labels?
Like actually, before we created some like ABC something, and we submitted something error we got, like validation error with validation error message.
I got
So
it.
can we modify it according to us? Customized validation message, I mean to.
Yep. When we create a right to create a record or a messages out there, right? That's what is the question, Satya.
Yeah. So, okay. So all the validation messages, see, there are two kind of, validations in Salesforce. So there are system validations plus custom validations. Custom validations, you can write as you, need, right? And on the new also, if you want to add something, you can still override, okay, your validation messages. But there are some validations which cannot be overwritten, that we cannot override. Okay. But suppose on click of the new button, right? Now it is coming a different error message or something, right? But on click of the new, you can still write your own custom message. That custom message will pop up instead of the standard, right? There are some, okay, very, very inbuilt, so they cannot be overwritten. That validation messages I'm talking about, they are not labels. Labels are different in Salesforce. Okay, validation messages you can still override, customize, but there are few which cannot be made.
Like required field, you cannot modify that. It's a system error message.
Yes.
Or validation message.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you have a custom page, custom thing, custom website, right? Or that you are going to know, and all in that you can just have your own messages.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
Shekhar, I expect a question from you, Shekhar, today.
Yeah, sir.
Usually you ask many questions, right? Ashok and Shekhar, and I believe
Arshini.
Yeah.
No, let's take some feedback from you now. Okay, is it quite fast or is it slow, or are we talking a little more detail into that? What is the pace you are looking for?
It's okay.
We are going little slow. Sorry?
It's fast actually. We are from non-IT and it's hard to follow.
Then you should stop us early, right? You should stop us early. You should stop us early and ask the question.
Okay. If we know something about it, then we can ask for doubts, right? If you are not knowing anything, whatever you say, we have to listen. So
no, you can just raise it, right? Okay, this I could not understand. Repeat it so that we can try to put it in layman terms, right? See,
Actually, when we
there are mix and match here, right? Some technical folks are there and some non-technical folks are there. So something, we are putting in the technical terminology, but whenever you are not clear, you just raise and stop us so that we can try to put it in layman terminology so that you can understand how that layman terms, right, is applicable to the technical. Then we eventually we have to convert into the technical terminology and the technical stuff, technical side. But whenever you are not clear, you are not understanding it, let's stop, right? Stop us so that we can discuss. We can just get into the detail and we can just go further.
There is a one way of approach. I may know who is this? Who asked the question?
Pratyusha.
Hi, Pratyusha. You have a other option is we have a Shivakumar Reddy, who is available for you all time to map it, like, because that probably you might be feeling that it is like you might be come from the financial background or education background, you may not understand what is object. Okay, immediately. Okay, so that time you can write it down the points and speak to Shiva. If Shiva also doesn't answer your queries, ask Shiva to schedule another session. We will have one session for who came from the non-technical backgrounds. Okay.
Okay.
To make you more like a layman words, we use it because all other people who are from the technical background, if we talk about more on what is table, what is column, they feel very offensive as such. Okay. Hey, what is this table? I am doing the
Yeah.
table. I have created thousands of tables so far in my life. Why I need to listen to that? That sort of things will come up. Okay. Which will disturb a lot of other people. So we would like to have you check with the Shiva by next session. Before that, you have a
Okay.
tomorrow and day after tomorrow you have it, right? Shiva, take one session,
Yes.
Shiva, for non-technical people and list down the questions. If you could not answer it, that's fine. If you we can't answer every person's questions, right? If you are not able to answer, it's fine. You list out these questions and have one of the session, whether it is on Saturday or Sunday, whatever the time you speak to Ram. We'll have one more session for 30 minutes to 1 hour to talk about the non-technical background to keep you up onto the lines of what we are progressing. If you are not clear now, it's very hard to cope up in future. I know that where you are coming from, Pratusha.
Yeah.
Okay, that is point noted. Yes, absolutely right. Next. Anybody else?
I have another doubt.
Yes, please.
Which database actually Salesforce is using in backend?
Let
It
me
is
take that question,
Exactly.
CJ. See, which database, right? That's a good question. But as we know, as we were discussing lot of times, that we don't know the database, right? We don't see the database server. This is all cloud, and Salesforce is a SaaS application. All infrastructure, all application servers, database, everything maintained and installed, completely owned by Salesforce. They don't give any control to others. So they maintains, several thousands of customers, but they will not allow, they will not let publicly known, okay, this is my database, this is my hardware, this is my infrastructure. No, that is not exposed anywhere. So that's how Salesforce works. But underlying database would be the Oracle database, because Salesforce has a relationship with the Oracle, and Oracle is the database which Salesforce is using underlying. It's underlying. Okay. But
Okay.
that is not just official. You cannot go to the market and say that no, this is Oracle. But Oracle is the most favored. That is what everybody is thinking. Oracle is a large database, and Salesforce also using Oracle database backend. But that we don't know, that we don't see any partitions, we don't see any database, and we don't see any models and how the security, everything, right? We don't know. All we know is just URL and go to setup, do the development, deliver it. That's it. And end user also, end user doesn't have to bother, right? Doesn't have to bother about your database. All they need is their work should progress. Their work should run, right? So end user also
Like we
will,
are using the Gmail, right, Satya?
right? In
We're just using
Gmail,
the Gmail.
what
What is the
database they are
database
using?
using?
We don't know,
We don't care of it, right?
right? So similarly, this is a cloud application, so we don't know, but a large impression is Oracle database. That is what Oracle Salesforce is
Yeah, let's
using.
allow other questions also.
Yep.
Anybody else?
See, this is a forum, so you can just talk anything.
Yeah. Keep talking,
There
keep
is no
questioning.
shy. Don't feel shy, and you can just ask so many questions.
Because I'll tell you one thing, why we are a little slow for this week is the reason is these are all the things we would like to entertain. If a non-technical background people, yes, that is the one thing which we need to consider before we start the next session. Shiva, my request you to connect with the non-technical background people or whoever interested, have one conversation today. And if there are any more questions for before they jump on to this next session, let's clarify all the questions. Okay. And I'll be sharing this document, what we have presented to you. the Word document. Also, I'll share with you. And there are a couple of links where you can create the objects, custom objects, fields, and so on. And we'll be talking about the app, custom app, which we are talking about, the real life case from the next session onwards. That will be a little faster, and we should be aligned on it. So we have to be very clear by tomorrow. Day after tomorrow is a crucial for you guys, non-technical team. Spend good time with the Shiva, and let us know for if any session to be scheduled. Then we can have that limited team schedule as such. Okay. Any more questions, guys? We have a few minutes to go.
2 more minutes.
Sir, what kind of program
Hello.
what kind of program will be developed?
We're not able to hear you. Just can you come little closer to the
Sir,
mic?
what kind of program need to be developed in this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming to the program, I think that is too advanced, too further question. But coming to the program, every platform, every application will have its own engine, right? Programmatic engine. So here it is a Apex. In Salesforce, programming language is a Apex. Apex is built using Java principles. Okay, using Java principles.
Okay.
And this programmatic which Salesforce use is only the Apex. Means between the database and the UI, Salesforce will understand, right, to bring the data, to save the data using the controller. That controller uses only the Apex programming.
Okay.
Is it answered?
Yeah. Thanks.
It's more of similar to Java only. That's what I can say.
Yeah, Java principles, all oops concept, oops, everything.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me.
Prashanti.
How much complexity will be there in programming or in writing business logic?
Yeah, coming to the okay, Prashanti, are you done with the question or still you want to add anything on the
No,
question?
Satya.
Okay.
Come.
So Prashanti, it's a tricky question, right? So complexity of the programming is, I can say it is not as Java, right? Java complexity, but it is a way of easier to understand, to write the programming. And so I'll recommend, I think, go through some Java links also from the W3 site, whoever is not aware of the programmatic language. Some kind of programming, any kind of programming, if you write it in the past, would become easier to write or to understand Apex. Okay, Apex is not a complex, it is a simple, but it is not as complex as Java. That I can say. And it is easier to understand and it is easy to write, but as long as you have some programmatic background. If not, we can just as we write, right, you will get to know. We'll start from the basics. What is Apex? So complexity is there. I cannot say that it's a completely easier. Yes, it is there, but we'll have to start from the basics. I think when we start from the basics, I don't think you will see the complexities writing Apex code. That's what I can say. But it is a programmatic, you have to learn from the basics. But if you have any programmatic background, it becomes much more easier. But we'll just tell you from the basics. Okay, because we understand there are there are people who are non-background of technical. There we have to definitely start with the basics. So we are going to start with the basics. But if you have any programmatic understanding knowledge, it becomes much more better and easier, and you will not see this as a complex.
Okay, sir.
Srijay, you want to add anything here?
No, pretty much it's the same. But we recommend start learning Java basics, like which is like a core Java. Basics of Java is good to go. Means like what is OOPS concept, what is public, what is a static, what is void main, the basic understanding of Java is always better. But we will give you a glimpse of what is when we start the Apex coding. We'll give you a glimpse of the importance of each keyword and elements and access modifiers and so on. But we recommend in between, if you get a chance, go through it.
Yes. And one more easy, better option in Salesforce is, see, Salesforce programming is publicly available. It is not restricted. So all the programming which Salesforce does, right, publicly available. There is a GitHub, public GitHub, and you can just find it anywhere from the Google. And you just, if you have the requirement, right, okay, this is not possible, this is only possible through the programming, then if you understand the requirement, just Google it, you can get the code and put it in the application and modify it like we do in the Java, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to write from the scratch. Already you can get lot of code, several snippets, and you just take that and modify it. You never ever feel a complex writing a Apex programming in the Salesforce. So you will get to know all the tricks and strategies, right? So you will not feel that that is a complex. Anybody whoever technical background, they don't feel, definitely either it is there or not, but non-technical background people also does not have to feel this. This is a complex. So
Okay, so I'm
you
from
get to-
automation background, so can I feel like not that much?
no, if it is automation background, right, Prashanti, so definitely you have a programmatic background.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, you don't have to feel that this is a complex. It becomes easier.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Prashant teaches actually Java.
Yes. Yes, a lot of code would be needed in case of the automation. So that definitely going to fetch, and this gives more options in the Salesforce.
Yes. Any more questions?
So if we do not have any other questions, I think let's wrap up and we'll touch base again. I think
We'll get back to you whether we have a, it's as we conveyed that we'll have a, if needed to be have a one session for the people who did not understand the terminologies or the technology aspects till now what we discussed. We'll have one more session that Shiva will coordinate with us, and you guys speak to Shiva on this. Yeah. Thank you guys. See you.